Today I want to go through how to install a Mitsubishi adapter for the Mitsubishi split system to get a Nest or any other smart thermostat installed on this system. There's a few YouTube videos online, but there's nobody who's done a complete install from a kind of a DIY perspective, who's not an HVAC tech, so I wanted to create a video for everyone. Here's the outdoor unit of the Mitsubishi. It's a split system. It's a heat pump, model number PAC-US444CN-1 So first thing is, I'm gonna run this through kind of on the computer and then I'll show it all in person. This is the adapter that you'll need to plug into the main blower unit in order to get your normal pins out for your thermostat. So it's the PAC-US444CN-1. With this, you have to buy a 24-volt transformer. It doesn't make it very clear in the manual, but you need one of these. It will not work without it. Here's one that I bought on Amazon for 18 bucks. Basically how it works is when you wire it in, you wire it into S1 and S2 on the main control panel, and then that gives you 24 volts, which you connect to TC and TR on that PAC unit. So you can see here, this is the diagram of the main unit. There's S1 and S2. Between these two, it's 208 volts, and it's one phase. So if you buy this transformer, which I can link in the description below, this has 240 volts, 208 volts, 120 volts, and then that white common wire. So what we're using is the red 208 and the common. So those two will go into S1 and S2 here, which is again right here. So again, you need this this adapter here for about, I bought it for about $180, and then a $20 transformer. So I will show you how I wired in the Nest and then how I wired in this PAC control unit here and the dip switches that I used. My system is, when you look at the manual, there's a few different systems. My system is a single stage. This is the simplest way to do it. And so there's no dip switches that you need to switch here, but there's some fan dip switches that I'll show later on. One thing to note before I go inside is, before performing this work, it is, when you're on the main control board, it is 200 volts. So make sure you come in here to this box, which is probably outside near your heat pump, if that's what your system is, and flip this open and pull out this breaker here. It's important to do before you do this work, because you might shock yourself. And if you have an internal breaker, then do that as well. So internally, I'm, along with pulling out that other breaker here, I'm turning off my north heat pump. So there I'm double protected. I don't always trust this, because if they're mislabeled, you know, it's always best to pull both. So inside, we used to have this control unit right here, which was just a 2-wire. It had a red wire and a white wire, I believe, which connected up to different terminals within the control unit. So here we have our Nest installed. I'm gonna pull this off. This installs just like any other thermostat. You will have to run new wire if you don't have, you know, originally we only had 2 wires here. Now we have, I think there's 6 with this other one. And you'll have to wire this up just as I'll show in on the other side. But you know, you need Y1, you need green, you need your RC, your red, common is blue, and white is W1. You can wire this up with whatever colors you see fit, but it makes sense to do Y is yellow, G is green, etc. Okay, so now I'm up in the attic at the main unit. The model number on this guy is 30P603. This is the, I don't know what you call it, the blower unit. So some important things to note here. Originally, as I mentioned before, these were our 2 wires. I thought it was white, but it was black and red. That went to the old thermostat. that connected into terminal 1 and 2 here, which also was connected to the board, which I unplugged. I don't know if you need to unplug it or not, given that, you know, we're not using the wires anyways, it probably doesn't matter. So a few key things to note on this control panel. That port, grab the manual here. So again, there's two-stage and single stage. Our system is a single stage. If you don't know if you have a two-stage or single stage, I think two-stage, again, I'm not an HVAC technician, but two-stage is just allows you to have variable fan speeds, where single stage is a little more simple and probably what I would do if you're a beginner. So we have the CN105. That is this ribbon cable coming off here. That plugs into this port right up here, and you can't see it, but on the other side it says CN105. So that is that part right here. Then on the IDU, which is just that circuit board, the IDU S1 and S2 is nicely labeled right here. These are your 203 volt power supply. So that's, you know, make sure your power's off and you're not touching that. So there is where you will have your high voltage side, your AC side, connected on your transformer, which my transformer is right up here. And then from there you have 24 volts out to the PAC unit here, which you can see, this is not focusing very well. Leave this here. Which you can see here, come on, is going from here to TC. That little jump right there means the wire's jumping over, they're not connected. That confused me at first, so that's going down to TR. And then again, from here on this unit here, you have TC, C, TR, R, Y1, W, G. So if you're like me and you're wiring up just a single, this is wiring up a single stage cooling and heating, you can take a look at this. It's TC, C, TR, R, Y1, W1, and G. And then those wires you'll just mimic same color on your thermostat side, which I showed before. So actually taking a look at the unit, how we have it wired here is I have my new thermostat wire, my 6 conductor wire, coming in to the unit. From here it goes, it's wired into the PAC unit right here. This PAC unit is then plugged in to the CN105 port on this unit. Your TC and your TR, you'll need to just either wire it up directly to the transformer, or like me, I just used 2 small wires that I had lying around with wire nuts. That will go to your low voltage side, your 24 volt side on your transformer. Then on the other end of your transformer, as I mentioned before, we had each of these cables. This one's supports 120 volts. This supports 230 volts. This one is, as I've labeled, is 208. And then this is just your common wire here. So we're looking at 208 volts. That's what is coming out of this S1 and S2. So that's what we have connected here. So from S1 and S2, again, you can try to connect the transformer straight up into S1 and S2, but I just used some higher gauge wire that I had lying around from old light switches connected. You just unscrew these 2 screws here. My screwdriver. You just unscrew these 2 screws and you'll have 2 wires. So the original wire is the power coming in, so you'll just add your own wire there. Same thing with S2, you'll just add your own wire in, get some wire nuts, and put that into your transformer. And so again, kind of zooming out, you have your power here going into your transformer, which is then pigtailed to TC and TR in this unit. And then on this unit, you have all of your various wires here for your either single stage or follow the manual if you want to do 2-stage. And then that's connected into there. And then this wire goes out and over to your Nest or your Ecobee or whatever it may be. So within the PAC unit, there's also a few dip switches. Which you can see here, there's bank switches 2 and bank switches 1 that you can set to adjust various settings. On single stage cooling, you do not have to change any dip switches. However, if you are wanting to do two-stage, I believe it says in here, that if you want to do two-stage, you need to switch dip switch 1-6, which is bank 1, or no, bank, I don't know. You can look at the manual yourself, but something that I changed, which is not required, is the indoor unit fan speed. So originally we had them both off. Everything by default is off. And custom auto default provides higher span feeds than the more efficient auto. So auto with them both on is a little bit more, I think it's more energy efficient. With it off on default is a little less energy efficient. I found that neither of these were high enough, so I manually set dip switch 3 off, dip switch 4 on to have our fan just always on high, which might use a little bit more energy, but even with it on high, it's not blowing out a ton of air. So I'll show you how to adjust those dip switches. There's 4 screws on the back here that you unscrew, and then trying to get this angled here. They are, let's see here, it's hard to focus. So you can see bank 1 is to the right, and I have all dip switches off except for the far right one. This is a hard angle. Once you get this all wired up, I have it all laying above here, but I'll get it all tied in and screwed into this unit. So then just go in reverse, turn your circuit breaker on, put that other second breaker back if you took it out, configure your smart thermostat, and you should be good to go. Okay, so final update before I put this all back together. The model number is actually the PAD-A24AA7. So there's the stats there. I did some minor changes in how I clean things up. I decided to put the transformer inside the unit and leave the PAC unit outside. I wired the transformer directly up without any wire nuts to S1 and S2. And then I didn't have any extra thermostat cable, so I used this Cat 6 cable to take the 24 volts on blue and blue-white here out up here, which we have here, into TC and TR as we discussed above, and then C is still blue and the rest are the same. So there we go. Now I just need to screw it back together and turn the breakers back on and we're all good to go.